Hi, welcome to MTTC 208, uh, CNC Milling and Programming. My name is Randall Redcrow, I'll be your instructor. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how to use Notepad, because Notepad is what we're going to put most of what we need on there. All right, it'll be our coding type of a software. It's a little word processing thing. Anyway, click here, type in Notepad. Hit the caps lock button too, by the way. You're going to do everything in caps lock, so just get used to that. Notepad. Come up to Notepad here. You see it? Right click on that. Go down to pin to taskbar. There it shows up there. Very good. Now all you have to do is click it once and it'll open up. It'll always be there. You can maximize it if you want. All right. We're going to show you what all these different buttons are and how to use them later on. Not all at once, but this is just your introduction. First line in any CNC program is going to be a percent sign. So hit the shift key and percent. Then hit enter, new line. Next line is going to be the program name. Program name always starts with the capital O, not a zero. Do not make the mistake. So O, you've already got your caps lock on. And then 4 digits. And I'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Some will take 5. Okay. I'm going to do this. Okay. Program name. There we go. So that's great. New line. Next thing we're going to do, so let's highlight. Percent sign always goes in first. Program name, capital O with 4 to 5 digits. This is a rim statement or a comment statement. Anything that's inside these parentheses, the computer or the control will not read. It doesn't recognize it as code. It's just for you to read it. So that's a little way of keeping notes. I'll show you some other neat tricks too later on. Okay, and the next thing we're going to talk about is a block number. And a block number starts with an N and usually goes like this, 0, 1, 0. Put a space in there. That way that's a line number. Some can cycles and things like that actually requires to have those in there, but it makes it a lot easier for you to keep track of where you're at. Okay, so what I'm going to put in now is the safety line. So the first thing in the safety line is a G00. Now space, keep space in between each one of them. The computer doesn't care if you don't, but it makes it a lot easier for us to read. All right, so that's going to put the machine in rapid traverse. Okay, so that means the machine's going to go as fast as it goes. Next thing I want to do is tell it what plane we're going to do our arcs in. Now planes just mean what movements we're going to make. Bottom line, you're just always going to put a G17 there. Remember, they're going to get bigger. They're going to start at G00, then G17, then continue. All right. Next one should be a G20, which means we're going to program in inches. All right. Now, what's the next thing we want? Well, the next thing we probably would like to put in there would be a G80. Now, a G80 is going to set the machine, is going to cancel any can cycles. All right. So if somebody left a can cycle, don't worry about what that is. Just worry about that this whole line is something that has to be in every single program you write. As a matter of fact, we'll copy this and put this in other places too. I'm going to get some other examples up here in a minute so you can see them. So G00, G17, G20, G80. Next thing is G90. G90 means we're going to use absolute coordinates. That means everything is coming from X0, Y0. Okay. And at that particular point, that doesn't look like a bad one. The only other thing I'm going to put in there is a G40. Now, if I was going to put a G40, I probably should put it right here to keep our... Again, the machine doesn't care. Got a space there. The machine don't care, but I do. Now we need to save our program. So we're going to go File, Save As. This dialog box will come up here. All right. Now, I'm going to delete this. Delete. Yes, goodbye. I'm going to put, first off, I'm going to go ahead and right click any place in here, go down to new, and create a folder. You should get used to creating folders. It's a great way to keep things organized. You don't have to do it. I'm just showing you. MTTC space 208. Hit enter. There. Now double click on that and we're in that folder. Now I'm going to type in Notepad. Can't get used to the caps lock. Alright, once I've done that, I hit save button right here. Now it's going to be in that MTTC folder, okay? And we put it at the desktop. That's where we saved it at. All right, so that's your safety line. SAFETY space LINE. What the safety line does is set this machine up. So let's say somebody forgot to, maybe they left a can cycle active. This would cancel it. Maybe they left cutter comp active. This would cancel it. So it's a good idea to put that stuff in there. It kind of just refreshes everything. So call it a safety line. Okay. At this point, again, let's go to a new line. So we go here and enter new block in. And you always want to go bigger, so I'm going to go by tens this time, space. And what's the next thing that I want to put in right there? Well, there's a whole lot of different formats. This is the one I'm going to show you, and this is the one that I know that works 90% of the time. Some people like different formats. In the day's age, different shops will do things a little bit differently. In other words, what you're seeing up here may not be the same thing everywhere else. Now, since I put that in there, Control S is a real important thing. Let me show you what that is. Control S, you go to File, and if you hit Control File, see the save, that saves it. So once you've saved it the first time, you hit Control S, it'll save everything you've done. Get used to hitting Control S all the time. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to minimize this and drag it over here and stick it up in this corner. And then I am going to go into right here, go and get a sample mill program. Okay, let me see here. Let me see, sample programs. There we go. There's a mill lab number 1. Mill lab, open that up. And I'm going to minimize that, minimize it, and drag it over here so that side by side. All right, now Notepad example. Okay, now we got them side by side so we can take a look. This is a good example of what we're going to do. This is, I'm just showing you how to do it. So once again, we got our percent sign, always percent sign. Program name, we've always got a program name. Notice your sequence numbers can be whatever you want. Always give you some space in between there. I get 10 numbers here because you're going to want to add an extra block every now and then. That's all there's to it. All right, next line, this one right here. Now, I can copy this, which I probably will, and this is something that's really, really valuable for you. You want to program efficiently and quickly, copying and pasting is the way to do it. Now, I'll explain exactly what this is. So, G54, I'm activating the work offsets. What that does is that's going to tell the machine, based on some values it'll pull out of the control, where the X0, Y0 is on the part, so it's a starting point. That's always going to be there. Since I put that in there, I'm going to hit Control S. All right. Oh, new line, N030 space. All right, the new line. Now I could copy this again, but I'm going to tell you what the first thing I'm going to do is I want to tell it what tool to use. Tool numbers are done like this on a mill. T01, that means get tool number 1, followed by an M code, M06. Now, these are zeros. They are not letters O's. If you put O's here, you will get all kinds of problems. Remember these things right here? These are called rem statements or reminder statements. As long anything that's inside the parentheses, the control will not recognize. It won't even do anything. So you don't have to worry about it. You put that in there just for you. So right there, I said I want you to go get tool number 1, and M06 means go get it. That's a tool change. And basically, I'm going to also put in a little note about what size. Let's say we'll just do what we got over 500 thousandths end mill. Okay. Again, suffering with, oh my God, this is terrible. I have never worked on a computer with a fever before. All right. Now the good time to hit Control S. Basically, every time you write a line, hit Control S. N040 space. All right, so we've given it a program name, we've activated our safety line, we've activated our work offsets, we have changed our tool, and we've also told it was a 500 thousandths diameter end mill. Now that's just a cutting tool. If you don't know what that is, I'll try to put some more stuff up there. This class pretty much, there were a lot of prerequisites. I don't know how much you know. That's it. It's 500 thousandths diameter, and most of what we're going to use. Next thing I want to do is I want to turn the spindle on. So that's an M code, M03. Okay, and that's going to always be followed by, okay, a speed. In this case, we're going to run, this means M03 means spindle on clockwise. I will have all kinds of quizzes for you to learn G codes. I will post a bunch of stuff about G codes, so you have plenty of reference material. You just type in G codes any place on the internet, you will get them. So, but there's no such thing as an MO3 without an S number. S means speed. So this means spindle on clockwise and go 1000 RPM. Now, if this was an MO4, spindle would go clockwise. I could still have to give it. MO5 would be spindle stop. We don't have to use an MO5 that much. I'm going to put in another thing here that says SP. Great, spindle on clockwise. All right, Control S. Get used to hitting that Control S, like I said. Very good. New line. N050. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Well, now we're going to activate our tool length offset. Now, what a tool length offset is basically, I know this is just your introduction, but a tool length offset basically is a way of mathematically making all our tools the same length. We cannot set them up all the same length. It's just impossible. So this is a way of doing that. It allows us to do it. To do it, we're going to first program a G43 space, and then we also want to always have a Z move in that. So just get used to doing this. Z 1.0, that's real cool. All right, later on we can talk about different ways to do that. And then we have to have an H number, H01. Now I highly recommend, and I mean it, the control will freak out. If this number here, T01, and you have an H02 here, a lot of them will not accept that. All right, so I'm going to put in there, you know what, you don't need to see me type that. And again, this is the cool thing about this. You can copy and paste in Notepad, and I do it all the time. Copy. This is the way to do it. It's fast. Get used to doing it. Control S to save it, right? Okay, new line. N060 space. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to move it to our X0, Y0 location. That is where on the part where we're actually going to start from. So just again, this is a format, a basic how to use Notepad. You may not, you'll know more about how to understand all these codes. So you just have to trust me. X0 period. You do need a decimal point. If you do not put a decimal point in these machines, they will see all kinds of weird stuff. Let me give you an idea. Let's say I wanted to go to Y1 and I put that in there and left it alone. This is what the machine would see. It would see Y. That's what it would see without the decimal point. You may have wanted it to go to 1 inch, but guess what? That's not what it's going to see. So get used, for the love of God, to put those decimal points in there. So I went to X0. We're actually going to go to Y0 in this case. Y0, you see, I got it over here. And all these moves are being made at the rapid. That's the G00. It's modal, means it won't change. Z.1. space, and then an M08. Now the M08 is going to turn the coolant on. You might want to be careful about that, because sometimes if you don't have the doors closed and the spindle's way up there, you're going to get shot in the face with coolant, which isn't very good. Control S, save that sucker. Yeah, N070. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Now let's just say I'm going to mill a simple little square. All right, now these numbers right here, this whole block of numbers that I just put up here, this whole block of code, can be the beginning of every tool and every program you ever use. Make this, copy this, paste it right into your new program. Why rewrite all this? It's crazy to do that. I'm trying to get you to do this. So let's say, all right, so we got it running. We're not going to worry about anything. We're just going to mill a simple little square here. So let's say we started at X0. So I'm going to go to this. I'm going to go G01. That's a linear interpretation move, which means it's going to move at a controlled feed rate. So I'm going to go G01, and let's bring Z down to Z. minus, oh heck, I don't know. Let's say the part was 250 thousandths thick. So there we go. That zero you don't need. If it makes it clear for you, use it. You don't need it, but if you need it, I don't need it. So with the G01, we also always have to give it a feed rate. All right. In this case, now the G00 up here, everything moved at rapid, went as fast as it could. So it went to these positions as fast as it freaking could. Whatever. Different machines have different rapids. So this one we want to give it an F. That's the F word. So let's say later on I'm going to teach you how to calculate up feeds and things like that. So let's just do F2.5. That means that's in inches per minute. All right. Now we could have put something up here that went from inches to minute to inches per revolution. It always defaults to inches per minute. So that's what that is. So we've gone down. New line, Control S would be a good idea. In 080. All right. Now I'm going to keep programming the 001. You do not have to do that. This is a modal command. It means it's like once it's there until it sees something else. Like if I put a G00 there, that would change it. But I'll do it just for the sake of keeping clear. If you want to keep things clear, that's fine. All right. Later on, we'll actually do a little video and show you. We'll actually do a part and program that all. Okay, so I got G01, and let's just say we're going to mill a 2-inch square. And we're going to always climb mill, so that means we're going to move Y. So Y 1.0, that keeps it straight. The feed is also modal. In other words, it stays that, as long as you program it there, it stays that way until you change it. But again, for clarification, I will keep doing this. You don't have to do that. Now's a good time to hit Control S again. In 0, 9, 0. Okay, so let's do another G01 space. Now I'll go to X. I said to 2-inch square. So here's the beauty of this. There was a time, folks, you couldn't do this. Every time you made a keystroke, it punched a tape, and if you made a wrong keystroke, you had to start over. Get 500 lines down a program and make one mistake. It sucked. It did. So I'm going to go to X 2.0. Okay? I don't need to put that feed rate in there, but I will. Again, Control S, see, get used to doing that. So now I'm going to go in, looks like in 100 now. Yep. And another G01 space. And I'm going to bring, so I went up in Y to 2 inches. I went over in 2 inches to X. Now I'm going to come back down to Y0. So Y0 point. And yep, F2.5. You don't need it, but we'll put it there because you're just learning. In 110 space, G01 space. And finally, to finish up this is pretty simple. Like I said, we just milled a simple square. I'm going to go back to X0 at 2.5 inches per minute. Once again, I do not have to type. These F's I do not have to type. These G01s I do not have to type. But when you're first starting out, it just keeps things clearer. Okay? All right. Another time for Control S. Save that sucker. Get used to saving it because your computer will lock up any minute, and what you don't have, well, you will lose. I've already had my computer lock up 3 times today. This turned out to be a great day. 120 space. Now what I want to do here, I'm done, so we're going to use what's known as a G28. All right, now G28 will take the machine to its home position. A machine home position is just basically where the machine starts out. Every time you send it back there, it kind of calibrates it and things like that. So it's a good idea to always do that. But I'm also going to move Z up first. So with a G28, whatever axis that you program in here, and that is programmed to Z move right here. Okay, whatever axis you programmed in there, that is going to move first. So what it'll do is when it sees this G28, it's going to wrap it up to 1 inch above the part. That way it'll clear everything, okay, which is a good idea. Now some people make this 4 inches, 5 inches. This is one format. There are so many different ways of programming correctly that there's billions of ways to do it wrong and thousands of ways to do it right. That's the way it is. All right, new line. In 130 space. So what else do we got here? Well, we're about ready to end up this program. You're going, well, do you need to turn the spindle off? Do you need to turn the coolant off? No, we have this wonderful code called an M30. And M30 will do all that for you. Okay, so what this did was it came, wrap it into x0, y0 and 100 thousandths above the part, turn the coolant on. Z fed down 250 thousandths at 2.5 inches per minute. Then Y fed up to 2 inches at 2.5 inches per minute. Then X fed over to 2 inches at 2.5 inches per minute. Then we went Y back down to 0 at 2.5 inches per minute. And okay, then we went back to X0 at 2.5 inches per minute. We sent the machine home with this axis command that says do the Z move first. That way we get it up and out of the way so no crashes. M30's into program. Get used to this, always this. So I'm putting that right here. End of program. Okay, and trust me, by the end of this program, by the end of this class, you will know every single G code by heart. You may forget them if you don't use them. I will put up plenty of stuff again to look at that. So there's my end of program. And finally, well, we have to put our friend Mr. Percentage sign back up there too. Hit Control S if you haven't done that. There is a simple little program, just basically what's going on, how we can work with Notepad. And this, since it's in a format with no strange weird stuff, so this program will feed and work in any machine out there. All right, any machine out there. Now you notice there's a whole lot more going on over here. Don't worry about that. I was just using that as, just an example for you to check out. Now I'm going to go and talk some more things about what other things we can do here. You never have to hit new. I would always recommend closing Notepad out and just open it up. You'll get a new one. Open means if you have an existing one, you can go find it. Save, well, we've been hitting Control S. Save as. The first time you ever save the program, you have to hit Save As. You have to know where you're saving it. It's just like you going out in the woods and burying $100,000 and not making a map, and you go, I don't remember where my $100,000 is. Well, that would not be a good thing. It's not a good thing to not know where your program's at either. We don't need page setup, leave it alone, don't print. And I wouldn't exit out either. You can exit just right up here. Alright, so let's go to the edit. Now undo will take you back one. This isn't powerful like Word. There is copy and paste. We use these all the time. Find and find next can help you out when later on when you're debugging a program, and I'll show you a little bit about that later on in another video. Replace is a very cool one. Now let's go to replace. We get this little dialog box. It says find what. So let's say I wanted to, x 2.0, that's not right, it was x 2.5. So I say find x 2.0 and change it to x 2.5. And I hit replace all, boom, okay. Close it. See? Now my x2 all my x0 x that x2 is now turned to an x2.5. You're going, why couldn't I have done it this? Well, you could. There's no doubt about that. You could. And the deal is, let's say you had a whole bunch, all your x's were wrong, you had a whole bunches. Well, this is a good way. A batch editing is what they call that. So we can change things to what we want. All right. So that's a pretty cool little thing here. Format. Okay. Don't fool with that. View, leave it alone. Help is practically worthless. You can use it, but it's practically worthless. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to use NC Viewer. Now NC Viewer is an online piece of software that helps us plot and tells us if our basically it tells us if our programs are any good. So just go to your browser, whichever browser you like. Here's, I'll use Google Chrome. I'm going to type in NC Viewer. Okay. Now that says VNC. That's not what I wanted. I don't know why this. How about you? Yeah. There it is. And like I said, I will paste this. So, all right. Just go now to do it. The easiest way to do it is just to do this. Go boom. All right. Go down here and hit Control A. That selects everything. Go copy. All right. And let's go back into NC View. Put it right here. Paste. Okay, there's our program. Notice it does a lot of cool things. It color codes and stuff and things like that. Sequence numbers as well as line numbers. That's pretty nice. So you don't need all this. I'm going to grab it here and drag it over. All right. Now there's lots of different icons. You can get playing around with these things like that. All right. Uh, since we're not using lathe, I'm just going to turn that off. There we go. And notice what it did was it's already plotted it. Now I can rewind it all the way to the beginning, and then usually you can single step it. This is what that means. Now notice I'm not getting any tags over it, but see? So right now it's at X0, Z, that's where I'm at Z1 inch. I've activated my tool length offset. Now it's going to come down to 100 thousandths above the part. Now it's going to feed down to 250 thousandths below the surface of the part. Remember, Z0 is going to be on top of the part. And then it goes up to X or Y2, over to X2, down to Y0, over to X0, and at this time it just goes home. Now, it doesn't show you all the neat stuff. Some of the others do a whole lot. We hit one more end of program. There you go. But that's basically how that works. All right. You can also hit, there's some other stuff they've just recently added. Let's go back and plot. Okay, run that. Here's run it. Boom. I don't think, if I'm looking to where I can slow it down, you can zoom in and out here. You can view it. There was a way to view this. Oh, here's the different things right here. Good God, what is that word? Rama P. Who cares what it is? I'm gonna guess this is a front view. This is a top view. There's the right there's my isometric view. All right, and I believe if I click, there's that one. That one I like the best. So the top view. Again, if I put that, you go back to the top view. Maybe this is the one I want. No, still weirdness there. It has definitely changed. I hit home. Okay, so there you go. When in doubt, just hit home. Here's the ones I'd use. I'd hit this one right here, and I'd use this one. All right. So I'm going to put my cursor over here, hit Control A to select everything, and go delete. So I'll show you how to do this again. We'll do the whole 9 things here. I'll just go completely out. Minimize this right here. I'll click here. So real quick, we go into your browser, and I'm going to type this NCVIEWER. There we go. That's the way. No, I don't mean VNC. Watch this, because evidently that's a really big hit. This is the one you want, ncviewer.com. And like I said, I will post this so you can find it. All right, just go to new file, and I would just paste. So get used to copy and paste. Control A selects everything. Right click and go copy. Now you got it. Go back into here. Put your cursor right there. Hit paste. Okay, very good. And then you hit plot, and it'll plot it. All right. So now remember, you can get different views. You can get a top view, like looking there. Home will take you back to the normal view. You can get really confused with some of these views, especially on this thing. I don't like it. It kind of makes me feel weird, but remember, the home button will always take you back. So once you plot, it'll plot all at once. You can make that smaller so you can have more viewport, is what that's called right there. And then we can go ahead, and if you want to, you can single step through the program, which is what I'm doing right now. Let's rewind the program. There we go. And now we'll single step through it. This means it's going to activate a block at a time. If you look over here, you'll see it moving through the program. So, simple square. Simple little example how to use NC Viewer 2. All right. So we'll do more. Okay. and hopefully I'll get better once I'm not got a fever and I feel like I'm dying. All right, so have a good day and good luck.